On today's episode, we'll be talking about sock knitting. Lots and lots of sock knitting. Hey everyone, I'm Marina and this is Pineapple Knits. This is my channel dedicated to knitting, spinning, and weaving. You can connect with me on social media at Pineapple Yarn, and you can connect with me on my website at pineappleyarn.com. Thanks so much for joining me again this week, and those of you who are returning viewers will realize I'm in a different spot. I normally film my shop update previews right here. I'm in front of my yarn rack, and this is actually where I do my sock knitting. I have a circular sock machine, which is an Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster. You can sometimes in my shop update previews, you can see this really tall tower. This is the, this adjusts the tension of the yarn. So sometimes you can see that in my shop update previews. But, you know, I just felt like I needed a little change of scenery, and I really love this space in my studio because I have a window here and it's in front of yarn, so it's really great. So I decided to sit here today, and I couldn't be in a better spot because I am going to be talking about a ton of sock knitting. I have been knitting the Molly sweater, which is a pattern by Julie Weisenberger of Coco Knits, and I realized when I started my sleeve, I was nearly finished with the entire sleeve, realized that I had been knitting it on the wrong size needle. I was knitting it on my ribbing needle, and so it was at least 2 sizes too small. And I noticed when I was trying the sweater on that the sleeve just felt really snug, and I kind of played with the idea of taking it out, but didn't want to. And you know what? If you think you should rip something out, sometimes it's just the best thing to just stop and either take a break or just rip it out right then and there. Because I know for me, every time I think I need to rip something out, it's the right instinct. And sure enough, every night I would just sit and work on my sweater and had this sleeve almost done. And I just didn't like the fit of the sleeve, but I just kept knitting on it, and then actually looked at the needle and noticed that it was a size 4 instead of a size 6. So I ended up frogging the entire sleeve and re-knitting it. So I have made progress on it, but I just needed to put it away for a bit. So one thing I've been thinking that I've wanted to do is just go stash diving. Not this is pineapple yarn, but my own personal stash that I've had for years, and use some of the yarn that I've been holding on to for one reason or another and actually use them. So right here I have some of my stash that I've actually taken the time this week to cake up and have sitting next to my sock machine so I can knit some socks. Now some of these that I've caked up are recent colorways that I've dyed. Some will be in the shop update on Friday, and some are from other dyers. So for example, this one is Beachcombing. I love this color, and I've just really wanted to see it knit up. It's one of my colorways. It's a newer one, and I just think it's so pretty. It has so many pretty pops of these crazy neons, but then some like really fabulous deeper colors, and I just think that it would just be a great sock yarn. I have this. I have Shell Collection, which is also one of mine, Tangerine Green. This is it's such a bright, vibrant color, and some of them I've really been holding on to from other dyers, and I don't know why. I need to knit them into socks. For instance, I have 2 years of Kirby Werby's awesome self-striping advent skeins. So I think this one was from 2020, and it has 24 stripes. So cool. So the idea was to knit 1 stripe every day, which I obviously did not do. Here is her other colorway. This is from 2019, her Advent theme. And that was, I think, Christmas Vacation from National Lampoon, right? So that's another, again, 24 stripes. I have this just sitting here. And I'll show you the rest of the yarn that I have. I have two that are old, really old. These two Christmas ones are self-striping as well. And these are from the Yarn Jar, I think. And I'm sure I bought it on Etsy many, many years ago. But those are two Christmas colorways. This one is also from Kirby Werby, and it is the colorway Cooler Than a Pack of Peppermints, something like that. So this is a Christmas colorway, but it's really pretty. It has this minty green and pink and black and red. Just a really gorgeous colorway. And then these two I have had in my stash for a really long time. This one is, they're both from Pixie Yarn, and I believe they're from the UK, if I remember correctly. It's been a really long time. And this one is just so neat. I've got to give you a close-up. It's not a self-striping, but it's going to look so amazing in socks. It's this kind of forest green, but then it has all these, I guess, sections, little dashed sections of pink and purple and orange and green and blue. And so it's supposed to look like a Christmas tree with lights. I think that's so cool. It is a Christmas themed colorway, so let's see what it's called. Oh, Tree of Lights, of course it is. And that makes sense. And then another one, and I think this is a holiday theme, but it's not, you know, just your traditional red and green or what have you. And I think it's called Merrymaking. And this was so pretty. I really should have taken a picture of it when I was skeining it up, or when I was caking it up, because when it was all unwound and it was in hank form, it looked like a watercolor painting. It was so beautiful. So that's what I have all caked up to, I guess, cast on? Yeah, cast on. Knit up into socks in the next couple of weeks. I have been so busy knitting socks though. Once I got started this past week, I just kept going and going, and it really is addictive. And knitting socks was always like one of my favorite things to do. And the reason I loved knitting them by hand, but then when I decided to purchase this circular sock machine, I loved it even more, if that's possible, because I was able to knit up all of my colorways really quickly to show a sample or to see how a colorway would knit up. But I was also able to buy more yarn and use more yarn, I guess. So it was a win-win for everybody. But I knit quite a pair of socks this week, or quite a number of pair of socks this week. This is one of my little project bags that I sewed up a number of years ago. This was a prototype of a project bag that I was going to use for advent calendars several years ago, and ended up making one just as a prototype and didn't really like the design. So I kept it for myself, and I use it quite a bit. I really like it. But what I had in this bag is I had four, I'm counting right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs of socks, all in one long snake. So this is what a pair of socks looks like when you get it off of the circular sock machine. It is separated, these two socks are separated by this yellow waste yarn, and this is what I use. The yellow works really well. It's an acrylic yarn, and I actually ordered mine from Erlbacher Gearhart, and it comes in a giant cone, as you could see, and it's great. But this pair is the only pair that I have left, so I've actually knit five pairs of socks. I have 5 finished pairs of socks, which is just crazy from this week. But I guess it's the past 2 weeks because I didn't film last week. Regardless, it's a lot of socks. But this is from Gynx Yarns. I think this is my last skein from her, so it was really special. So no wonder I was holding on to it because she doesn't dye anymore. But this was it's called Magical Girl. And like I said, it's self-striping. And it's just a really pretty combination of colors, like peach. Let's see. You kind of have like a red and a pink, light pink, purple, yellow, aqua, and then you have speckles in there as well. So it's just a really, really pretty combination of colors. And with all my socks, I did a hung hem, which is just a folded over hem. You can use a ribber. You could do a ribbed hem on, or a ribbed cuff, I should say, on the sock machine. I'm just not there yet. Skill-wise, I haven't practiced enough. And to be honest, the reason I jumped in and just needed to do some socks is I needed to do something easy. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Obviously, if I didn't film last week, y'all know that last week was insanely busy. So anyway, so I needed something easy to do. I needed something I could just do a little bit of handwork, something very portable. So this is it. This is the last pair of socks that I have that need to be finished. And my next step on this will be to separate the 2 socks. So what I do, you can cut the waste yarn off of the sock. I don't do that. I try to keep it all intact because I reuse it. But what you're going to do is just find the end, and all I do is I just kind of sit and unpick it, and it will come right off of this next hung hem. So this is the cuff of the next sock, and it'll come right off. And then this is actually the toe for the next one. So I know I've shown y'all the socks that I've made before, but they're just so cool the way that they come off of a machine, because this is the heel. Obviously you see the cuff here, and then it has a short row heel. You make a heel for a toe, and then as soon as you're done with that, you add the waste yarn. So what you do is, I'll just show you on this side. You will take this waste yarn and just tuck it all in, and that seam will be at the top of your toes. So kind of where, if you can picture on the top of your foot, where your toes meet the solid part of your foot, if that makes any sense, you will have a seam. So you'll just do a grafting stitch, and then you can unravel the waste yarn and you're ready to go. So that's what your sock will look like. You'll have a seam on the top of your sock and then your heel. So it's really neat. I love the way that they come together, and of course there's so many different ways you can knit a sock on a circular sock machine. It's really, really interesting. But this is my next project that I'll be working on the next time I need something super portable, and I've just been enjoying it so much. I love all the yarns in my stash so much, and I'm so excited to be able to gift them now. Most of these yarns most of the socks I will be giving away, and so I'm really looking forward to that. While I was knitting so many socks, I did take the opportunity to film how I do it start to finish. And these are the socks I used. This is my spiced rum colorway, and I just love the way this came out. This is not a self-striping skein of yarn, but when it's knit up into socks, it looks like stripes, and I cannot tell you how much I love them. This is a beautiful blend of plum, a really pretty caramel brown, And there's some earthy tonal speckles in there, and then some cream as well. But I just thought those turned out so cool. I love the way the heel looks too. So the heel came out stripy as well. I don't know if y'all can see that. Hopefully you can. I just think that turned out so cool. So I did block these because I'm going to take photos because I took a video and I want them to look really nice. So that's why they're so flat. But all I did to block them was very, very easy. I just soaked them in lukewarm water, and I always use a color catcher when I am washing my hand knits, and they have different colors. So I actually I blocked several pairs of socks at once and just used a color catcher, and it was fine. There was no bleeding. And I also used a lovely wool wash from Tuft Woolens. Martha just makes the best scents, hands down. She makes absolutely wonderful scents. And I think it was something Woods. I think the scent is something Woods, but it is, every scent I try from her I absolutely love, and this scent is so good. So do watch for this video because I need to edit it and just throw it up on YouTube, but it's so interesting to see how people make different things and the process of something from start to finish. And one thing, because I do have a sock video up on my channel that I uploaded maybe a year ago or so, but one thing I didn't post is I didn't post how I graft the toe. And so I did film that. I haven't edited it yet, so I don't know how well you can see everything and whatnot, but yeah, I did take a video of that. And so hopefully that's something that interests you and you will really love it. So this was Spiced Rum. I wonder if I have a skein of it so you can see it. Oh, I do. I have a whole bin of Spiced Rum behind me that needs to be labeled. But this is what it looks like in skein form. And so it's kind of funny that this turns into this. It's neat. And of course, if you were alternating skeins in a project, it wouldn't turn out striped, but in a sock it does, and it just turns out really, really cool. So that's what those look like. And I will have those in the shop on Friday. I'll have a big restock of those. And so the next yarn that I have, now this is a self-striping, and this is one I've had for so long and I've been holding on to, and I don't know why why do we hold on to yarn? I don't know. But this is from Mustache Yarn, and it's called Apple Picking, and it definitely is an amazing self-striping yarn. You can tell. And that it has, I guess it's predominantly gray, or it has a lot of gray in it, but it has these subtle stripes in the middle of each gray section that are like a kind of a warm gray with speckles, and then of course this amazing rainbow, kind of like an earthy rainbow. And I want to show you a close-up because it's just amazing. I cannot even imagine the time it goes into dyeing this yarn. But this rainbow, and hopefully you can see it well enough, when it's knit into a sock, it's like one stripe per row. I can't even imagine how labor intensive that is, because self-striping yarn in and of itself is so labor intensive. Wow. I mean, it's just so neat. So these were divided into two 50-gram skeins, so you had perfectly matching socks. You know what's so funny is my tension, even though it was on this machine, it must have just been slightly off because the stripes match up pretty well on the legs, but then as you get down to the heels, I have one heel that's half gray and then half rainbow striped, and the rainbows actually start on the first half of the heel and continue into the last half. in this one, and you know, they are matching fairly well. So I think it was just my tension that was just a little off. It just threw it off a little bit, but I just think these are really, really cool. I love this colorway. I think it's really neat. And I should say, all of my socks, I will put a sock recipe below how I knit my socks. They all hit around the 60-gram mark. I did knit these, all of my socks I knit on a 60 slot cylinder, which is what I have in here. It's just doing 60 stitches around. And yeah, so I used, I think I did 60 stitches for the leg as well. So I really tried to do a lot of stitches on the leg to use up a lot of yarn, but obviously with a 100-gram skein, I have 40 grams left. I can still make more socks out of these skeins of yarn. Now this one, I love this one so much. This is a new colorway that I introduced this fall. This is Southern Pumpkin Latte, and it is so punchy and so bright. I really like this one. It is, I think it perfectly represents fall here in the South. So it has some autumnal colors, but it has a lot of like hot colors because it's still really hot here. It's not fall weather by any means. So this is just, oh, I love how this knit up. Now I do dye this differently than say my spice drum. So it's not going to come out in stripes. It's more like variegated and blendy. And I really like how it came out. I really, really like how these came out. This is really pretty. So I decided to knit these up. I have someone in mind that I'm going to give these to, and just thought they turned out really well. I did block these, so you can tell they're just so flat. Oh, I forgot to mention, the way that I block socks is I let them soak, and then I put them in a towel and you know, roll them up just as you would kind of dry any kind of knit, and then I just kind of hang them on a rack to dry, and they turn out really flat and really nice. I don't use a sock blocker. If I ever use a sock blocker, it's just for show. So yeah, so these turned out really pretty, just draped over a rack. They turned out really well. So this was Southern Pumpkin Latte, and I really love how these came out. All right, another yarn I had in my stash was gifted to me, I think, in a fiber share box, if I remember correctly. This is from Teeny Button, and it's called, I think, Not So Scary. So I haven't blocked these, I've just folded them, and the way I fold socks is I kind of just stick the heel out and then just fold them down. That's the way I fold them. But these turn out really, really cool. These are a neat blend of purples and pinks and oranges and blacks. So I think they're kind of like a Halloween theme. I guess if they're called Not So Scary, I guess they are. And I had initially knit these or added these to my, you know, to knit stash or what have you, the queue for the sock machine. I added them to it because my daughter, I have two daughters who are avid purple lovers, but my older daughter, I thought maybe she would like these for her birthday, which is coming up this fall, but I just think it turned out a little too pink for her. So these might have to go just into my general gift, my gift giving box. But I thought these turned out really, really pretty. And like my other socks, these ended up being about 60 grams. So I do have enough for another pair of socks, which is great because, I mean, 40 grams of yarn, you can do a ton with that. You could use them in accents or use them as stripes, or you could add a mini and you do heels, toes, and cuffs for an accent and make a really great pair of socks. So, I mean, if you add 20 grams onto 40, that's 60, and this is how much I used for these socks. So you really could have a full skein of yarn, or another full pair of socks just from that 40. So my daughter did tell me she'd rather have shorty socks anyway. So these are going into the gift giving box, which is fine, but I thought it turned out really, really pretty, and I like the colorway. So that was fun to knit up. It's always fun to knit socks with kind of your one-off colorway. And of course, there's lots of things you can do with your socks that are, you know, just a lone skein. But of course, socks are always fun. The last pair of socks that I made, or that I knit up this week, was another skein of yarn from Mustache Yarn, and I think this is called Pumpkin Spice Latte, if I remember correctly. And these are really, really pretty. I definitely have been hoarding them. I don't know why. They're so beautiful though. And I love how the stripes are mismatched stripes. Not mismatched, because this actually is in two 50-gram skeins. So I got matching socks on these. For the most part, again, I think my tension was a little bit off, so they are a little bit off, but fine by me. I'm not looking for perfectly matching socks. It doesn't really bother me if they're a little bit off, but these are so beautiful. I think you can see some of these stripes, like one cream colored stripe here, one cream colored stripe here, and then as you go down, here's two rows here that are kind of a beautiful caramel color, and then again one cream color row here. I can't imagine how labor intensive this is, but these were super fun to knit up. And I have a couple of children who are just breaking the door down to get these. They really, really like these, and I think they're excited for fall. You know, everyone gets excited for fall, and everyone wants to wear all the autumnal colors and what have you. But yeah, these turned out so cute. I really like them as well. So they're really, really cute. I have one of my daughters, she's so funny. She's like, I said, you don't even really wear hand knit socks anymore. And she said, well, I just want to look at them. I just really like looking at them. So there's that. But one thing I liked about this pair of socks that I want to show you is, and this was completely unintentional, but where I started the socks, like I said before, the hung hem is just a folded hem, and then you catch all the stitches so it looks like it's sewn together. But it started with a white stripe and then went into this kind of taupe colored stripe. So it has that white inside. I just thought that was really cool and unintentional, and just kind of neat. So again, this was from Mustache Yarn, and it is Pumpkin Spice Latte. So those were all really, really fun socks to knit up, and sometimes I will start something and I feel like it's a little more, I like bite off more than I can chew, I guess. But this, I just keep wanting to make socks and wanting to make socks. And I think part of it is that, number one, I love projects that are quick knits. I'm a project knitter through and through, even though I do want to have something on the needles all the time. I love making progress with all my projects. So I feel very accomplished when I have a project done, and so these were perfect for what I wanted to do, and yeah, feel like I'm accomplishing something in my projects. But then also with the school year upon us now, and children's activities, I need something really portable that I can bring with me, and socks are perfect. They really are. And probably down the line I will be doing maybe some beanies or different cold weather accessories, because they're just super portable. So yeah, it's been really fun just hand finishing those socks. One thing I did attempt to do is I attempted to make toe-up socks on the machine. How I normally knit socks is I do the cuff down, and that obviously leaves a lot of yarn that's unknit, which is fine because I have so much left over that I can knit up another pair of socks with them. But I did attempt a pair of toe-up socks, and I realized part of why I love doing socks cuff down on the circular sock machine is I like the hand finishing. I'm not necessarily looking to do everything on the machine. So with the toe-up socks, there's actually a way that you can hang, like you do a hung hem. There's actually a way to get out of grafting the stitches at the end. And I kind of realized I like doing that, and I like having a little bit of handwork and hand finishing at the end, because at the end of the day, I'm a hand knitter and I like doing things by hand. And so I think a lot of people who use circular sock machines aren't necessarily coming from a hand knitting background. So there's lots of ways you can knit socks, like I said earlier, but for me right now, this is the way I really enjoy socks, and they're fun to give as gifts. And I think everyone who I've given socks to has really enjoyed them, even if they're just house socks, you know, things to wear around the house. They've really, really enjoyed them, and they're neat. They're something different, and so I guess I'll just keep knitting them. That's that with the sock knitting, and I wanted to show you one project that I will be casting on the 8th of October, I think that's the date. The sun keeps going behind a cloud. We've actually been having rain all morning, and the sun just came out, and I'm taking advantage of the natural light here in the window to film, but it just keeps getting dark and light because of the sun. So hopefully we can get the sun out today, kind of dry everything out. We've had rain for 2 days, so that would be very nice. But one future project I will be casting on very soon is the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along for 2021. It's called Shawlology. I'm sure many of you have seen all the news for it and the previews and all of that. I love the Mystery Knit Along from Stephen West every year. It is so interesting and challenging and a little bit of frantic knitting. It's a little crazy, but his patterns are just so inspiring, and they make you use color maybe outside of your comfort zone. You learn new techniques, and he is so good. He always releases videos with maybe new stitches that you're not sure about. He's really, really good at holding your hand through the process. So I would love to hear in the comments if you plan on joining the Mystery Knit Along for 2021 as well. I will have a couple of kits in the shop on Friday. I dyed up 2 different colorways, but only a couple in each colorway, so I won't have a ton. But this is the colorway that I will be using for myself. This is called Beach Blanket. So the Mystery Knit Along uses 5 different tonal skeins of yarn, and they need to all be contrasting for the most part. I know some people are going a little more neutral because they want more of like a blended colorway or a blended effect, but I am going to be using these colors if I can balance them all. So this is, again, like I said, this is the Beach Blanket kit and this is the one I chose. And so I really wanted to do some fun punchy colors. I wanted to do a range of depths of colors. So I added this really pretty kind of plum color for a dark color. And then I really wanted pink and I really wanted mint green. And so I thought these would be beautiful with just a medium toned gray. And then I really wanted a yellow, but not a yellow that had a lot of brown in it. So not like a caramely brown, not like a gold. And I came up with this color, and it's almost like a calendula, marigold, like a really deep shade of butter, kind of, if that makes any sense. So this is the kit that I will be using for mine. I'm so excited to start that mystery knit along. I'm always a little scared, I'm not gonna lie, because his patterns are crazy, but I will have this one in the shop in case you're interested. I'm so excited to cast on. And if you purchase the pattern right now, you can get some of his tips. You can't, it hasn't started yet, so you can't get the actual pattern, but he has some tips about just as far as like what colors to choose and things like that. So I've been super busy here in the shop. I have been doing a really big shop update, dyeing all the yarn, getting ready for it. And so the update will be this Friday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at pineappleyarn.com. Normally my updates are every other Friday, but the past couple months and probably for at least one more month or 2 months in the future, I will be doing one a month. So if you're interested in seeing what I have to offer this month, if you're interested in just looking at some beautiful yarn, definitely check out my shop update preview, which I will be filming right after this. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's always nice to chat with you. And if you liked everything you saw today, I'd love if you would give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't before, and I hope you're doing really well wherever you are. I will talk to you next week with another episode, but until then, I hope you're enjoying your crafting so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.